there is another way of multiplying, and that I have tried too with some degree of success. So, we worked in the early 1990s on a project called Lok Jumbish, which stands for People's Awakening, which is a participatory project. So, we had a team of about 10 at the peak, and maybe in the beginning we had 3 or 4 and became 10 people, engineers and architects, bare feet architects and engineers, and we went around from village to village to create dialogues with village committees who would identify the site, um, design and manage the construction of their own schools. This was part of an education for all, a literacy program funded partly by Swedish development agency and partly by the government of India and government of Rajasthan. Now, if you looked at this program, we were given an area of maybe about 1000 square kilometers, which had possibly about 500 villages, and in each one either a school needed to be renovated or built afresh or some additional rooms needed to be added and so on. And in each case the design was definitely very specific to the location. The construction style was very specific to the location, but I wouldn't say that every village had a different style, because there was a vernacular method of building which was usual for that area. For example, they would build random rubble stone walls, they would build sandstone roofs, they would use lime quite a lot. They had started using cement because lime was not easy to get, took too much time and required too much grinding to be making it to a paste and so on. And they did not use earthquake reinforcement because they didn't know about it, and this was a dangerous practice. So, we introduced in traditional construction earthquake bands, and the process of design was like a set of discussions with those clients who were, they were clients, they were often illiterate village folk, but it didn't change the fact that as far as we were concerned, we were professional architects. So, we were giving them advice which to some extent they would take, say 60-80%, and some they would not take, and that was fine. So, we ended up working, we started working on 400 villages or so, and it was very tough work, because the first thing you have to overcome in such societies is even to understand who you are. They have to understand who you are, why you are there. So, clearly they suspect people who are there in order to get, like the joke is that National Geographic photographers come there to get very high commissions for their articles, but the person who's photographed doesn't get anything. So, first they needed to understand that you are there in order to actually do this professional work for them. So, that takes 6 months to 1 year, maybe more. So, we didn't manage to get a single school up in the first year. The second year we started actually engaging with the villagers in a way that they started trusting us enough, and we broke the barrier by even doing the first or second school, which people saw were generally better than their existing designs. Then we worked through a series of charrettes which consisted of puppet shows, discussions about values, discussion on corruption in the public school system, whose money would it be, how they would manage the money, the construction, also about architecture, about children who would not come to school because there would be no toilets. So, there were all kinds of issues that came up together through the medium of school architecture. And on the whole, people would look at those designs today and say, okay, they are the same vocabulary of design, and they were, meaning that they had rectangular walls and they had stone roofs and they had certain kind of mortar, but each design was actually different, and very often they were informed by ultra local issues that we could not have done even if we were 100 kilometers away in an office. We actually needed to be on site. Now, how do you multiply this into mass? So, there were 40,000 villages, if I remember right, in Rajasthan alone that required this intervention, and there are 600,000 such villages in India. So, that's a large clientele, right? There is a lot of work to be done. So, now how do you do it? So, the first year we didn't get anything. The second year I think we got 6 or 7 schools built. The third year we got maybe 30 or 40. But by the last year, now there was 3-year project which we forced ourselves by losing some money to become a 6-year project. So 3 plus 3 years. By the time we were into our 6th year, we delivered nearly 180 schools in 1 year. Now this is mass, and the way it was done is that by this time, with 4 or 5 years of rehearsals and practice, village after village after village had understood the process of getting up to speed, copying from other villages and virally saying, okay, we have this one session with this set of architects, then they will draw up our plan for us and send it to Jaipur to get the funding, then we will start a bank account. I mean, they knew everything that had to be done by word of mouth. And so we were delivering a project every second day practically, and finally we delivered 315 projects in 6 years. So that's a lot of mass for a small group of 4 to 10 people, on an average maybe 6 people, 7 people. Today the possibilities would be even better with this kind of communication, because you would send it by WhatsApp from village to village. We were actually working in pre-net days. So we were working directly on paper, and we didn't even have printers. So very often we would have to draw longhand, and it was pretty tough going. And we were also working in Hindi, which itself reduced our efficiency and speed quite a lot, but we did it because we figured that we did not want to do it in a language that the villagers would feel that we were trying to hide something from them. So the transparency was a part of the process, which is a very important part of the process. So we used to state our fee up front, what we were getting from the government of India to do this work. And that is when they realized that our fee wasn't very much. It was really no more than about 2 months income of one person there locally. That's when they felt that this is okay. Otherwise, there is that feeling also that, you know, this group is getting paid out of proportion to what we earn here. Yes. And it's not fair actually to have so much inequity in society. So I guess you could say this was like a viral model, which is another way of going scale.